necessary. Okay. Alright, let's talk about the format first. Okay, for the latest format of MUET, it's quite the same, but the assessment is slightly different. Okay, and then the questions are slightly different as well. But in terms of skills, they are all the same. There are still 4 papers. Okay, so you have listening. Okay, and then you have speaking, reading, and writing. Okay, even though all of the papers, they have different marks, okay, in total, and they have different time duration, the weightage for all of the papers are the same. Okay, in the previous MUET format, the weightage for all papers are different. Okay, some papers have more weightage than the other, and that worried a lot of students because they are afraid that, oh, I might not be able to perform in this skill, and it might lead to me not being able to score well in MUET. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that because this time around, they decided to make sure that all of the weightage for all papers is the same. Okay, so it's going to be 25% for all papers. Alright, and then maximum marks for all paper is 90 marks. Alright, okay, let's start with listening. Okay, so this is actually your first paper. Alright, and it consists of 5 parts. Okay, and you have 7 listening texts and a total of 30 questions. If I'm not mistaken, for each audio, they will be played twice. Okay, and the duration of the entire paper is around 30 minutes. So each audio is going to take around 1 to 6 minutes, and each of them will be played twice. Okay, yes, it is confirmed. So each audio will be played twice. Alright, and the difficulty is like this. So you start the first 7 questions with something easy. Okay, and then you slowly go to something more difficult as the paper progresses. I think difficulty is not just in terms of the questions, but also in terms of the complexity of the text you are listening to. Okay, maybe the speed of speech in the audio is fast. Maybe some of the words used in the audio, you are not familiar with them. It could be something like that. Okay, all of them are multiple choice questions, so you will be given OMR form. Okay, so when you listen, you just need to answer, and then you just need to blacken the answer that you think is correct in the OMR form. Okay, so these are the questions. Okay, the type of text and the length of each of the text that you will be listening to. Okay, and then these are the type of questions. Alright, and these are the number of questions lah. Okay, just have a look. Alright, dialogue means the audio will involve around 2 or more speakers, usually just 2 speakers in the audio. If it's a monologue, that means that the audio only has 1 person who is speaking. Okay, this one, monologue 3 speakers, it means 3 speakers who are talking about 3 different things. Okay, and based on the audio, you have to match what the speaker is talking about with the description in the question. I am going to show you an example of questions later. Okay, and then you have a dialogue for part 4, and last one you have a short dialogue. This one you also have 3 dialogues, and then you have to answer 6 multiple choice questions. Okay. Alright, for a listening paper, okay, it is important for you to pay attention to contextual clues. What does it mean by contextual clues? Contextual clues means clues that are going to help you identify as to what the answer to the question is going to be about. Okay, for example, if the question asks what is the side effect of COVID-19, for example, okay, maybe you can listen to the keywords like side effect, okay, or outcome, or what else? I can only think of those two, okay, side effects, outcomes. So those are what we call contextual clues, okay. So this is why once you have gotten your paper, the first thing that you need to do is go through each question in each part, try and circle the keywords that are going to be helpful for you to identify as to what the answer to the question is going to be. Okay, so maybe you can circle, for example, I'm gonna show an example later in the questions. Kejap let me just explain the tips to ace listening paper first. Alright, number 2, try your best to concentrate and listening actively. There is a difference between listening actively and listening passively. When you listen actively, that means you really pay attention to what you are listening to, and while you are listening, you try your best to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so since the audio clip will be played twice, this is what I always tell my students. Okay, the first time around, you listen to the audio clip, answer as many questions as you can. Okay, answer as many as you can. Because the thing about listening paper is, it's either you manage to listen to the main points, okay, or the main ideas, or you don't. Okay, you either manage to answer the questions or you don't. That's it. Okay, and that is why the first time you listen to the audio clip, try to answer as many questions as possible. The second time you listen to the audio clip, try to complete all of the questions that you did not manage to answer the first time around, and then maybe you can also use the time to check whether or not the questions you have answered previously are correct. Okay, this is a very short process, but you need to do a lot of things at the same time, and that is why for listening paper, the only thing that can help you improve is by doing a lot of practices. That means you need to do a lot of drilling just to familiarize yourself with listening actively and answering questions while listening. Okay, and then number 3, you need to read the questions and listen to instructions. In the audio clip, there will be instructions. Listen to them very, very carefully. If you do not manage to answer the questions, don't spend too much time on them. Okay, proceed with the next question, because this is for the first time around lah. Okay, the first time around, if you have difficulty answering the question, tak apa, jangan focus too much on that question. Proceed with the next one. Okay, because the second time you listen to the audio clip, you can always try and attempt to answer that question again. And whatever happens, do not leave any answer blank. Try not to do that, because if you were to do that, that means your OMR form is going to be that there's going to be empty parts of the form. Okay, and when this happens, it's going to be an error, and this might tamper with the process and everything. Okay, kalau tak tahu juga the answer, what you can do is hentam aje lah. Okay, and last but not least, don't spend too much time on one question. This one has already been repeated in the 5th tips. And last one, do not get distracted. Okay, some people, they get distracted. Dengar bunyi burung dekat luar, they focus on the birds. Dengar bunyi orang tekan-tekan pen, they get distracted. I understand the situation is not really ideal for everyone because sometimes people get easily distracted. But try your best to really focus on the audio clips. Okay, try your best. Okay, so this is for listening. Okay, I'm gonna show you the sample question now. Sekejap Okay. Alright, so this is the question. Alamak, kecil sangat Sekejap. Let me just enlarge this. Okay, this is the sample question for part 1. I took this question from the book MUET My Way, which is written by 2 authors, and one of them is very experienced in writing MUET tips. Okay, so these are quite reliable, I would say. Okay, the track is here. You just click this and it will direct you to the audio clip. So whenever you want to give them a try, you can. Okay, and this is what I mean by contextual clues. Okay, you highlight or you circle the keywords that are going to be helpful for you to answer the question. Okay, course, Sam. Okay, and then this one, Sam wished. Okay, wish for what? So this is what you can highlight. And this one is very tricky because basically when you listen to the audio clip, you have to identify which position is the correct one. Okay, so this one is a bit tricky. But otherwise, everything else is quite straightforward. Okay, this is for part 3, the one where you actually need to match the answer based on the monologue. Okay, so this is basically about most effective propaganda device. So there are going to be, if I'm not mistaken, 5 testimonials, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. The last time I opened this track was quite some time ago. So you just give it a try, and then based on the monologue, you are going to identify which speaker talk about which propaganda device, and then you just answer lah. Okay, and then this is part 4. So this is a radio interview between a radio host and a British. There is a chance that the audio clips, you will be listening to people of different accents. You might have people speaking in British accent, you might have people speaking in Malay accent, you might have people speaking in American accent. Okay, so these are the major ones lah, I would say. Not Malay accent, Malaysian accent. Okay, do a lot of practices, listen to people speaking in different accents, just so you can get the hang of actually listening to these people talking. Alright, and then last one is this one for part 5. So for part 5, you have two dialogues. Okay, three dialogues, and then based on this, you have to answer the questions. Okay, so yang ni part 5 ada, for the first dialogue you have 2 questions, for the second dialogue you have another 2, and then the last one you have another 2, and then that's the end of your paper.